Well, hello there, YouTube subscribers. I've got a little project today that I decided I'd do what'll hopefully be a short video on, and I do some work on my BMW 325i. This is a 1989 model, and it's not in the greatest shape, but it runs pretty well. Motor's pretty strong for the age and whatnot. And I've got a problem with the parking brake, and the hardware on there has been a little bit of a problem, so I'm doing some rework on that, and I'll show you what the story is here. We've got the tire off and the rotor off, calipers hanging back there, and the problem is, what you can see, there's some of the parts that came out of that. You can see these springs here. These are the hold down springs, and this is one of the hold down keepers that, as you can tell, kind of got bent a little bit, and I'll show you why. Right in here, you can see that's where the hole is that these go into, and they go in there, and then you do a quarter of a turn, and they lock in there. And there's the other one over there. And what you can see is that those holes are have been wore out a little bit, and these keepers won't hold in there anymore. So I've got an idea that I'm going to try to fix those without doing. I was going to put on new backing plates, but that's a whole nother project that I didn't want to get into. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut here and see if it'll work. And that is, I'm going to use a hardened socket head bolt and then put a nut behind the backing plate there and see if I can hold those in there through those enlarged holes without having to do any welding or what have you on them. So stay tuned, and hopefully this will be helpful for somebody that's in the same situation, and I'll keep you posted as we move along here. Okay, here's the brake shoe, one of those emergency parking brake shoes that go inside the rotor, and this is what the keepers are normally. There's as I said, a little spring there. They go in like that. That little knob on the end, you turn them a half a turn and they lock, or a quarter of a turn rather, they lock, and they keep the brake shoe tight against the backing plate there. But as I mentioned earlier, since the holes are worn out in which those things fit, they're not going to hold, and that's what caused the problem we have right now. So what I'm going to try is, I've got a hardened socket head bolt here that I'm going to put in like that. And I've got a washer across the top to kind of simulate the top of that pin there. Now, one of the things I do know that spring can move a little bit. The other ones have a little shoulder in there that keep them from doing that. And then I've got some of these 1024 lock nuts. You can see they've got a little indentation right there that'll lock these things, and they won't go anywhere unless you got a wrench on them. So my hope is that I can go this route. I've got enough clearance for that Allen head to stick out, and we're going to see if I can get nuts back there and get these on there, and then we'll start putting it together. So that's what we're going to try to do. Okay, we have both shoes on there. There's that one, you can see that. And then on the front side, you got that one. Now, I will tell you this, the reason they use those little turn things is there's virtually zero clearance back in here to put this nut on. So I'll show you a little trick that I did. Took one of my nuts and I put a little duct tape on that side and got it positioned down in there, because there's a brake line in there as well. You can probably see right there. That makes it darn tight. So this seemed to work okay. Put that down there, and I also had to use a screwdriver to hold it, put some pressure on it, and then so once I had that wrench down in there like that, down there like that, and then had to put a little screwdriver in there to hold it, put a little pressure on it, I was able to take my Allen wrench and put in here like that and tighten it up. So it wasn't real straightforward, but it worked okay. And I think we're going to be doing fine, because I think there's going to be plenty of clearance there. So we're going to go ahead and put the rest of the hardware back on. Okay, we've got all the hardware on. pads are on there. That little idea I had with those hex head screws seemed to work okay. Down on the boat lower side, got the springs back in, and got the adjuster back in there, and the brake cable mechanism on the lower side seems to work okay. So we're going to go ahead and put the rotor back on and get it adjusted. Okay, we have the rotor back on, caliper back on, ready to put the wheel on, and then we'll do a little more adjusting to make sure that parking brake works good. Okay, we've just wrapped up everything, got her adjusted, took her for a little shakedown cruise, and this bad boy is a fun ride. If you're looking for a fix on your E30 brake parking brakes and don't want to replace the backing plates, I think we come up with a solution for you. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Take care.